and that he jumped from his car and started swinging wildly at people in that area. As the crowd began to scatter, that's when the eyewitness says the police officer opened fire, saving what could have been a number of people and certainly neutralizing what could have been a much worse situation. 10 people were transported. At least one is described as being in critical condition. None of the injuries life-threatening, but as you say, multiple stab wounds as well as what appear to be some injuries of folks who may have been hit by the car that jumped that curb. All of this happened near the chemical engineering building. It was just after about 9:30 this morning when all of this took place. Right now, police looking to see whether, in fact, who this person was and why he did what he did.
And now lockdown has been lifted, Tom. This is really a crime scene, and you have investigators there trying to piece some of this puzzle together, especially with the suspect now dead. What are they looking for? Well,
they're looking for any forensic evidence to make sure that this shooter was alone, there wasn't somebody else involved. If the car was used and still at the scene, then they'll be processing that vehicle as well. Often in a case like this, they'll tow it to a garage where they have, the ability to work on it through the night and in a secure, warm environment. But they'll be looking for any other evidence to indicate that this person acted alone, then how he acted. But again, most importantly is identifying him and looking for possible motives, which could come from social media or his internet. They'll be trying to identify where he was living and do searches at that location. So they'll hold back the identity of this person until they've done more of the investigative aspects, such as searching his residence.
And usually, is that hard to find when it comes to social media or someone in this? And I know there are many details we don't know, but it does seem like a lot of times people who are sort of perpetrating crimes in this family of crimes, they're not trying to hide it, right?
No, usually you have extreme narcissism, and they want you to know. They want the world to know what they did and that they're going to be famous and want the attention and attribution that they had done this. So when they look at the social media and look at other indications, interviewing family, friends, other students, if he was a student on campus, of trying to see what in what he said or did or posted in recent times would indicate what his motive is. And again, you hate to immediately go back to something like possibility of terrorism, but Inspire magazine, Al-Qaeda's publication years ago, told its people, and this was Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, put out, use a car, use a knife, use a hatchet, use a hammer, whatever you have.
So that is one of the questions I'll be looking at. Deb, what are we expecting in terms of updates today? Because this is changing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what we are expecting is the president of the university is scheduled to give a brief press conference. He went to one of the hospitals, the campus hospital, and we're expecting to hear a lot more from him. Initially, just to clarify, this went out as an active shooter report, and that may have been because what students were hearing was the gunfire from that officer who was responding to the situation, and that's why you got that shelter in place for those who were not nearby, but for those who were nearby, you got that alert, run, hide, fight, because obviously officials didn't want anybody to sort of encounter this individual. And we did see some scenes of classrooms where students were actually taking desks and putting them up against the door, trying to ban him or keep him from entering if, in fact, that was his objective. So that's why it initially came through as an active shooter.
Yeah, it's a very good point. And we are monitoring. We saw live pictures just a moment ago. We are monitoring along with our affiliate WBNS that hospital, the Wexner Medical Center there on campus as we await to hear from the president of Ohio State University. Deb Farrick, Tom Fuentes, thanks to both of you. And up next, back to politics in the Trump transition and why Senator Ted Cruz is warning about the possibility